On the list of the world's richest people, a name appeared that most had never heard of: Gautam Adani, an Indian businessman who seemingly came out of nowhere to become the third richest person on the planet, trailing only behind Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos. But a rise this fast, this dramatic, many say it was built on the biggest corporate deception in modern history. How did one man build an empire worth hundreds of billions, only to see it crumble in a matter of days? And was it all a lie? To understand the empire, you have to understand the man. Gautam Adani wasn't born into wealth. He grew up in a modest family in Gujarat, India, one of 7 siblings. There were no early signs of the tycoon he would become. In fact, he dropped out of school at just 16 and moved to Mumbai, the city of dreams, hoping to make a living in the diamond trade. He worked as a diamond sorter for a couple of years, learning the business, but his entrepreneurial spirit was calling. He soon returned home to help his brother run a small plastics factory. This was his first taste of real business, and it wouldn't be his last. In 1988, with a small loan, he founded Adani Exports. This humble commodity trading company would one day become the heart of a massive economic empire. Adani Group. In the beginning, Adani Exports was just that, a small firm trading in agricultural goods and textiles, but Adani had a vision that went far beyond simple exports. He saw that India was on the cusp of a major transformation, and he wanted to be at the center of it. He began to expand aggressively. First, he secured a contract to manage the Mundra port in Gujarat. This wasn't just any port. Adani turned it into India's largest private port, a gateway for a massive flow of goods. From there, his ambition knew no bounds. He expanded into everything: coal mining, power generation, electricity transmission, renewable energy, and even airports. And here's where things get interesting. Right as India launched a massive infrastructure boom under Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Adani's companies somehow always seemed to win the biggest and most lucrative government contracts. His competitors were often left in the dust. This pattern raised more than a few eyebrows. Adani's close relationship with Modi, which dates back to their time in Gujarat, became a subject of intense scrutiny. Critics argued that this political connection gave him an unfair advantage, allowing him to build his empire with the government's help. Adani, of course, denied this, claiming his success was purely the result of business acumen and aligning his strategy with India's national interests. But the questions lingered. As the empire grew, another strange pattern emerged, this time inside the company. When you looked at the leadership of the Adani Group, it looked less like a modern corporation and more like a family dynasty. Out of 22 top managers, a staggering 8 were Adani family members. His brother Rajesh Adani was appointed managing director, despite having been accused in the past of tax evasion and other financial irregularities. His brother-in-law Samir Vora was also a key executive, even after being linked to a diamond trading scandal. Other family members, some with checkered pasts involving forged documents and questionable trades, were placed in powerful positions across the group's many companies. This concentration of power within the family was highly unusual for a publicly traded conglomerate of this size. It made it difficult for outsiders to know what was really happening inside the company and raised serious questions about corporate governance. But as long as the money was flowing, most investors didn't seem to care. And from 2020 onward, the money wasn't just flowing, it was a tsunami. The stock prices of Adani's publicly listed companies went into overdrive. Adani Green Energy, for example, skyrocketed by over 4,100% in just a few years. Adani Total Gas saw similar unbelievable gains. These were numbers that made absolutely no sense for infrastructure companies, which are typically stable, slow-growth investments. How could a company building ports and power plants be growing faster than the hottest tech startups in Silicon Valley? The valuations were astronomical, defying all financial logic. Some analysts began to sound the alarm, warning that the stocks were dangerously overvalued. Investors grew nervous. The whole thing felt like a bubble, waiting for a pin. And in January 2023, that pin arrived. The bombshell came from an unlikely source, a small American investment firm called Hindenburg Research. Hindenburg is what's known as a short seller. They make money by betting that a company's stock will go down. To do that, they conduct deep investigations to find companies they believe are fraudulent or overvalued. And on January 24th, they released a nearly 100-page report on the Adani Group. The accusations were shocking. Hindenburg alleged a breathtaking multi-decade fraud. They claimed Adani's family had secretly created a vast network of offshore shell companies in tax havens like Mauritius and the Caribbean. These anonymous entities were allegedly used for money laundering, siphoning money from the publicly listed companies, and, most critically, to artificially inflate stock prices. Hindenburg claimed these shell companies, secretly controlled by the Adani family, were buying up Adani Group shares to create a false sense of demand, driving the prices to the moon. Hindenburg didn't hold back, calling it the biggest corporate fraud in history. The impact was immediate and catastrophic. The market reacted in pure panic. In the first 24 hours after the report was published, the Adani Group lost $50 billion in market value. It was a bloodbath. Adani himself, who had been the third richest man in the world just a day before, saw his personal fortune evaporate. But it didn't stop there. Within a few weeks, the total loss ballooned to over $130 billion, more than half the empire's value, gone in an instant. Investors, international banks, and even governments that had partnered with Adani started backing away. A crucial $2.5 billion share sale, meant to fund future growth, had to be cancelled. The empire that Adani had spent over 30 years building was teetering on the brink of collapse. Adani Group fiercely denied all of Hindenburg's allegations. They called the report a malicious attack on India itself, a calculated effort by a foreign short seller to profit from the chaos. They published a 413-page rebuttal, attempting to answer Hindenburg's questions, but for many, it only raised more. So, where does the truth lie? Was Gautam Adani the mastermind behind one of the biggest financial deceptions ever recorded? Or was Hindenburg Research simply an aggressive firm that exaggerated its findings to make a massive profit from short-selling the stock? The Indian regulators are investigating, but the final verdict is still out. What we do know is this: an empire built over 30 years was shaken to its very core in just 30 days. It's a story that serves as a powerful reminder that, in the world of high finance, things that seem too good to be true often are. Thanks for watching, and if you found this story fascinating, don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives.